And it's take two with Jerry and Debbie. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani. We're going to cut the show short today. We got a meeting to get to, so Debbie, don't you feel like some days I feel like some days I have a phone growing out of my ear, my wireless Bluetooth thing. We have, my company, Third Millennium Media, is a virtual company. We're not all in one location, but we have our share of meetings. But we want to hear from people today, Debbie, who just are maybe meetinged out. Do you just feel like life is just, you're trying to get work done, and next thing you know, the pop-up reminder on your computer says, oh, you got a meeting in 10 minutes, and you're like, I can't get anything done. So, interesting topic.
Well, yeah, we want to know if you think meetings are a good use of time, if you maybe you use that time to, under the desk text message or something like that. I know I've had some colleagues of mine were at meetings, and they would pull out their phones, and they would look like they're looking up something, but actually they were text messaging during meetings. Or maybe you feel that meetings give a great chance to connect. We talked about communication yesterday on the show, and maybe you think, face-to-face meetings are the best way. Or sometimes you may think, hey, we could have solved this all with one simple email. We didn't have to sit there for an hour. So, we posted a picture, and it was really, I think so many could resonate, like, wow, what is this? That's how I feel during a meeting. I feel like just, putting my head down on the table and just, falling asleep, or I feel like daydreaming, or, it's hard for me to be charitable to someone else in the meeting because they just keep talking and talking, and this meeting is going on forever. So if any of this rings true to you, call in and share your take. Maybe meetings are a great chance for us to be in practice being Catholic Christians. Or maybe meetings need to kind of go by the wayside, and we need to keep up with technology and just do things through email and stuff like that. So we want to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396.
Well, I think we look at the Bible. Jesus and his apostles had quote-unquote meetings. Jesus, said that, come away, let's get away from everybody else. And, he wanted to teach them, and he wanted to discuss, very important things. So, obviously, meetings have a place. They're very important. But, again, we want to hear your takes on, do we go a little bit too far with meetings? Are they really vital? One of the things for me, Debbie, is when you have so many meetings kind of stacked up, back to back, I think efficiency in meetings is very important. And sometimes, I don't know, sometimes they can really be almost counterproductive because, they can just go on so long. And I don't know about you, but my mind is often, on something else. It's like, okay, I gotta get to all this other stuff, so it's an interesting dynamic.
It is. Well, you know me, Jerry. Because we've been in a lot of meetings together, and I'm always a person that likes to have a printed out agenda and try to stick with it and try to keep it, moving at a fast pace. And maybe that's coming from, me being born and raised back east. We like to do things kind of fast and get them done, so we can get on to the next thing. But I will tell you though, I have had, you can tell by some people when they roll their eyes when you hand out an agenda, they're like, oh boy, she's a drill sergeant, it's kind of hard. I think there's a delicate balance on how to keep meetings moving, efficiently and, make them productive and make them a great experience instead of a dreaded experience. I know there's friends of mine when you hear those words, we got to call a meeting, they cringe. They're like, no, please, can you just give me the notes on the meeting, So it's interesting to see, we want to hear from you if you think meeting time is a good use of time, face-to-face connection with, people that you work with, people that you're in community with, people that you're in organizations with, or do you think maybe we should use our time wisely elsewhere? So weigh in on this. I know it's an interesting subject, but we're trying to really practice being Christians, and we interact with each other on all different levels, and meetings is one of them. So whatever you have to say might really help another human being. 1-800-585-9396.
And this extends beyond work. We're not just talking about work meetings, But if your parish, you've got you're on a committee, say at your parish, or you're involved in a ministry of some kind. How important are meetings? I think they're very important, but sometimes it seems like maybe that's all we do is go to meetings, and so we want to hear your take on this. Or what about as a family? Maybe you like
family
to
meetings.
Yeah, maybe you like to every now and then. You find that it's necessary just to make sure everybody kind of knows what their role is and the things are getting done, and the family is sort of moving along harmoniously, and everything's
Right.
everybody kind of knows what their role is. So 1-800-585-9396.
Jerry, something you just said made me I had this light bulb moment. It just went off in my head. We're in this day and age, this technology age where there's text messaging, emailing, we're constantly disconnected via a computer or a phone, right? Maybe, just maybe, we call meetings because it is a chance for us to face, eye to eye, connect one human being to another. Maybe the meeting thing is an excuse for us to get together and to be together as, the body of Christ, the community. So that's interesting. I just thought of that. Maybe that's why there's so many meetings. Because I've noticed lately, Jerry, I will tell you lately, in the past couple years, I feel like every day there is 2 and 3 meetings. I mean, it's like, my goodness, we are meetinged out. I mean, there's so many meetings. So, it's interesting, but let's throw that out there and let's chew on that for a little bit and see what happens. 1-800-585-9396.
Yeah, and this all ties into our faith because efficiency, we want to be not wasting time. I mentioned that my company, Debbie, works with me and a few other people. We're a virtual company, and there are times when I just say, you know what, I wish we could all get together in one room. Face to face, because, it's not easy. So we want your take on that too. Maybe you're involved in a work, quote unquote, environment, but it's more virtual. You're spread out around the country. What's your thought on the efficiency of having, say, phone meetings, what do you call them? Conference calls, video calls versus, being together under one roof. That's something that we can entertain as well.
Interesting. That's interesting too. You're right, because if you have these virtual companies, they could be spread out throughout the United States. So, virtual meetings have become the new meeting center. That's interesting. So I know we're going to take our first break. Phone lines are starting to fill up. That's great. That means you have an interest in this subject and you want to see it go in a certain direction. You want to share your take on it. That's what Take Two is all about. A fresh look, a new look at our lives in the world around us. So we're going to take that quick break. When we come back, we're going to hit the phones and start talking about no more meetings. Stay with us on Take Two. We'll be right back.
This is Al Cresta, host of Cresta in the Afternoon, and Cresta in the Afternoon looks at all of life through the lens of Scripture and the teaching of the Catholic Church. Church teaching is the light by which we view the world, and so we'll explore everything, from abortion to Hollywood, and from the First Amendment to the United Nations, and everything in between. Following St. Paul, we're seeking transformation through the renewing of our minds. So that's Cresta in the Afternoon with me, Al Cresta, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck, the host of EWTN's Bookmark, and I wanted to tell you about a new book, Praying with Mother Angelica, Meditations on the Rosary, the Way of the Cross, and Other Prayers. It's a wonderful new book available right now. Order it today.
To get your copy of Praying with Mother Angelica, log on to our web store, EWTNRC.com, and type in item 80008, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
This is Father Joseph Mary.
This is Dr. Ray Guarendi, host of The Doctor Is In.
This is Father Leonard Mary of the Franciscan Missionaries of the Eternal Word. Have a blessed Lent from all of us at the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Your calls, your takes, as always, drive this program. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We just try to take a unique, different look, new perspective on the things that just impact all of us in our daily lives. And today we're talking about the importance of meetings. Are there too many? Are there not enough? Are we better off being face-to-face, in one room versus, video or audio conference calls, things like this? And so we want your take. We got several calls, but got a line open there. If you want to get on board, you get in right now. We will get you on the program at 1-800-585-9396.
Okay, so first up, we're going to go out to Portland, Oregon. Is it Kama listening on EWTN radio, on Modern Day Radio? Could you share with me your name, your pronunciation?
Yeah, it's Kama.
Oh, Kama. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be on the phone with you guys. So I had just had a quick question. So it's so funny that you guys are talking about this because I'm in my car, I'm driving to work, and I'm like, it's Thursday. It's full of meetings and at work today. And due to the fact that a dear friend of mine who is a coworker orchestrates all these meetings, and I feel like I know the backstory on her. She orchestrates these meetings because she needs to feel involved and like she's contributing to the structure. But these meetings, we don't get anything done in these meetings, and they happen all the time. So kind of my moral dilemma is, do I say something to like the manager and say, hey, you're not getting anything done in these meetings, or do I let these meetings kind of fill that hole in her life and not say anything at all?
That is a great question. And it kind of brings up a little bit, Kama, about the what we were talking about of how we react when things like this are happening and they're counterproductive. We're not getting anything done. We know that there could possibly be an underlying agenda to the meetings, and so they're not effective. And how are we to respond as Catholic Christians? That's a really good question. Here's the thing, though. I have to ask you, how long do these meetings go?
Oh, well, I mean, they're supposed to be an hour, but sometimes they last 2 hours. And sometimes her meetings are, they do have a purpose and they're great. But a lot of the times it's just meeting for meeting's sake.
Right.
So, yeah,
right.
They could go on quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in a tough position because if you do say something, that could, it could have a negative effect if it comes out not the right way or is taken the right way by your coworkers. I mean, it's a tough situation. I think there's a gentle way, a kind way to maybe interject, to maybe create some ideas to make it more efficient, to move it along a little quicker, or to kind of come out of the meeting with more productive tasks or items to work on. But that's the reason why we're discussing this. Meetings are really tough. You see the best, you see the worst, the good, bad, and the ugly of people in meetings. You really do, because people, for some reason, if they're frustrated, somehow it'll come out in a meeting. If they're trying to prove something, somehow that'll come out in a meeting. And it's a really difficult thing. I will tell you, Kama, for me, if I'm faced with meetings like that, which I have been, you may think I'm crazy, but I actually pray during those meetings and offer it up. As just because I'm going through it and it's really a struggle and I don't want to be uncharitable and, be rude during the meetings or anything. Not that you would, but I mean, for me, I can tend to be, very quick about, saying, come on, guys, let's move it along. And, so I pray a lot. So I don't know I'm kind of stuck with that one. How about you, Jerry? Any bright lights coming to you?
No, I think you put it well. It is a delicate thing. Kama, I don't know if you said, is this like a someone above you in the company? You mentioned coworker.
She's a coworker. She's a peer, and she's also a good friend of mine. So, I'm very patient with her. But I do like the idea of prayer, and also kind of like spurred on an idea, thinking that not taking away this thing that she loves to do, which is organizing, but maybe just talking to her and saying, hey, let's put more of a, I guess, like you said, you put together an agenda.
Yeah.
For the meeting, which she doesn't always do. And so if she's tasked to do that, she can still do her meetings and then do the agenda. Maybe that would help. So kind of putting the pieces together.
Right, and it would make her look more, effective as well, and that's really cool too. Yeah, so joining up and maybe assisting, I think that would be, I feel the most comfortable with you saying that, and I think that's awesome. I think that would maybe work. Well, check back with us and let us know if it does work out and see how it goes. I mean, you may have a new take on how to do meetings in a productive way, and that would be awesome for all of us, Kama. Thank you so much. Enjoy your work day. I love our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. And we have a line open now. We're talking about meetings. Again, we mentioned at the start of the show, if you want to, use this phrase for, Jesus and his disciples, his apostles, you could call them meetings. Jesus actually had large meetings, on a mountainside. He would, call together the people and preach to them. So they're not. They're not something that we can't, that we can do without, but we're just asking for your takes on, do you like them? Do you appreciate them? Maybe you don't. Maybe you just cringe at the thought of the word meeting. But 1-800-585-9396.
Hey, Jerry, can I just share something? You were talking about meetings on hillsides, and then we were in the Holy Land. And so I was, picturing where Jesus, talked to a lot of the followers and a lot of the disciples. And, that's beautiful. I mean, that area was gorgeous. You had the beautiful breeze and the trees and the hillside. And you could, even if, God forbid you weren't totally, tuned into what was being said, you could just have nature around you. It's a little difficult when you're in a sterile meeting room and the only thing you've got to look at is maybe the tiles on the floor or, some meeting rooms don't even have windows to look out. So it's a little, I just think it's a little different.
Well, let's hear what Mark has to say in Kentucky, listening to EWTN radio on Sirius XM 130. Mark, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
Better than I deserve.
Well, we all are, Mark, so thanks so much for joining us.
On meetings, I'm in a lucky kind of situation. I'm only 62, but and I was able to leave state government with a pension many years ago. But one of the things I found interesting, coming over from private industry many years ago into a governmental position, I found that, and then I had a peer that came over from academia and he had a PhD, and we found that governmental offices tend to have a whole lot more meetings than private industry tends to do. And what my friend, and I can't call him by name because he's still working for state government, but he says that many of the governmental and academia meetings tend to be, in his words, an anti-work. And they're kind of self-congratulatory, pat on the back, we're doing a good job, or a scathing, we're not doing a good enough job. And he says one of the things that needed to be done is to come in, of course, as you all had already mentioned, have an agenda ready, have a time frame, and really stick to that time frame. Because, as you just said, if a meeting's scheduled for 1 hour, the previous caller, but it goes on to 2, everybody's going to be probably in today's world playing with their phones or other things, and so that's pretty much it. I was on 2 boards after I left state government, and after getting away from meetings, and I continued working. I went to work for a university for 6 years part-time, but all outdoor stuff. My Bachelor of Science is in forestry, so I'm very fortunate to have a lot of outdoor time, but it just, kind of behooved me to go to these board meetings. And all of a sudden, my anxiety level was just climbing out of the roof. I had to kind of give up the boards, get some new energy in for them, but I couldn't stand that concept of sitting around a table, not accomplishing a lot for the amount of time we were occupying.
Yeah, Mark, lots of good insights there. I share what I think you're saying, and I'm probably far less patient than you are. I know I need to work on that. But, I think, the meetings that, they have a set time, and then pretty soon, you're getting close to, okay, hour's almost an hour and a quarter, hour and a half, And I don't know, I've never worked for government, but, we all, I don't know if it's tongue-in-cheek or what, but, point to, sometimes there's government inefficiency and all this stuff, kind of bloated bureaucracy and all that. So I don't know. I don't want to, say anything, offensive to anybody who works for the government. That's not my point. But, Deb, I think that, Mark makes a lot of very interesting points.
Yeah, I agree, Mark, and I share a lot of your sentiments about sitting around a table, and I tend to start to feel claustrophobic. I'll be honest with you, because and here's the other thing too, is I think when meetings don't accomplish things on a they have to move quickly. They have to feel like it's productive, but also too. Sometimes when there's this misinformation that's given in meetings, like for instance, like if you have the meeting facilitator say, okay, we're just going to spend 5 more minutes and we're done with this meeting. And that 5 minutes turns into 50 minutes. Or somebody says, okay, we're all going to get up and say one thing and everybody says 10 things. See, that doesn't work for me. Going to Catholic school, I'm kind of the person that when you set the rules, I kind of try to live within those rules. And so that also, I think I think there's a meeting etiquette, and I think there's a meeting kind of protocol in the sense that to really make meetings done well. I'm sure there's many books on it on and we could probably look it up on the internet, because you can pretty much find anything on the internet. But I do think there's an art to having a very effective meeting that everybody walks out of there feeling energized, ready to take on the tasks that they need to do. And I saw that. So yeah, Mark, you bring up great points, and I think it really does. And respected in meetings. A lot of people feel like they're never heard in meetings, or, somebody gets shut down and now that, everybody's looking at them and they feel embarrassed or insecure about their job or whatever. So Mark, you bring up a lot of good points, and I think it could help us all the way from, work meetings, community organization meetings, and family meetings. So this could apply all the way across the board, Mark. Mark, I really like what you had to say. Anything else you want to say?
One quick thing.
Sure.
Over my course of my career that finished out in state government and then coming over from the industry side of things, the best meetings that leave an impact in me, sitting up here in my mountain by myself today, is that, well, my wife is about to retire in another month, and we'll both be in this mountain. But we had meetings that were brainstorming sessions, and we knew going in we were going to have a brainstorming session to either get out of a rut or to create something different or go another way with a policy or something. And those were kind of guided by someone that had usually some skills in meetings, and those were great. You came in, they had the whiteboards and the racers, and somebody had an idea, and they projected it, and then everybody just threw words out or threw a phrase out or threw an idea out, and it was written down, and nobody could poo-poo those ideas until a later period when, and probably this is the way a lot of the newer industry and newer Googles and the smart companies do those things, I believe, but those were really productive. And I think sometimes you got to be able to say something without already being cut down, and save the cut down when it's going to be a more formation time. So that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Great stuff, Mark. Well, thank you for sharing your take on this today from Kentucky, and we hope that we hear from you again on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, Alex and Diane and the others. And we have that line open that Mark was on right there. If you'd like to join us, a very, real kind of down-to-earth topic today that we all face at one time or another. Meetings, again, as Debbie said, it could be, could be involved in your community in some way, and you have to attend meetings, or at work, or at your parish, or in the family. How do we make these effective, efficient, and not, kind of to the point where people dread them? That's a very important question that we're asking you today. So let us hear from you at 1-800-585-9396. Tomorrow, Debbie's going to be by herself, so she needs you to keep her company with your takes on if you've returned to the church after having been away. So be with us tomorrow for that on Take Two.
Hey, Catholic high school and college filmmakers. Want to get your work seen in over 250 million homes around the world? Then enter the Cool to be Catholic commercial contest. We're looking for original 30 and 60-second spots that focus on Catholic themes. 3 grand prize winners will get an all-expense-paid trip to the EWTN studios in Birmingham, Alabama, and a guest appearance on Life on the Rock. To find out more and to enter, go to EWTN.com/cool2becatholic.
From the archives, this is the wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Is your life so fast that you cannot see a sunrise or a sunset or pass one of these places in the country that have all kinds of little flowers? Have you ever stopped and just walked through them and said, our God is wonderful? So you're so caught up in gadgets. Rush, 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 rush. And you're living and you're not living. And you're getting older, but you won't admit it. I have a real problem with somebody say, how old are you? They say, but I don't talk about my age. Well, if you let me guess, it's going to be worse. Isn't it?
For more about Mother Angelica, visit EWTNRC.com.
It's the start of a new day for Morning Catholic Radio.
Confidence is really important. We got to think people all over the country with social media, print media, individually and families and parishes are praying. You just think, feel the power. We're all uniting together.
Well, I know Jesus always answers my prayers. There are 3 standard answers. Yes, no, not yet.
That's my favorite. Morning Glory. Catholic from the start. Weekday mornings, 7 Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Thanks for joining us on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about having meetings today. You can be having a work meeting, a community organization meeting, a family meeting. How about those of you who call family meetings? I know we used to do that. We used to call a family meeting. It was kind of fun. It wasn't always for someone to get in trouble or something like that. It was usually a brainstorming session on how we can move the family forward. So maybe that's it. Maybe you've called, a wonderful family meeting and it's worked, tremendously. So we want to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396. This is the second half of the show. It moves pretty quick, but we've got room for you. So dial in 1-800-585-9396.
Well, I'd say my favorite movie of all time is What About Bob? I've watched it probably 20 times. Remember that one scene where, the family's kind of, almost unraveling. He goes, all right, family conference. He was a shrink, a psychologist. So anyway, meetings are important. I think they're indispensable. But again, it's that balancing act, walking that tightrope, between making the best use of that time and not. And so we're going to hear more of your takes right now. Greg, listening to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Greg. What are your thoughts on this?
Hello, how are you doing today? My name, I'm in college right now, and what I'm learning is that, yes, you do have to have an agenda before you start the meeting with what you want for an outcome. You should hand out some type of handout that has what you expect the outcome to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
Okay, you have to approach the meeting from either end, if you're giving or receiving it, in a learner mindset where you're willing to hear what the other person says. And I find that actually saying prayers before I go to any meeting or give any meeting helps me get in that mindset.
Greg, I agree with you 100%, but let me throw something back to you. What do you do about when you hand out an agenda, you have the expected outcomes like you're talking about, you're wanting to keep it, going along and moving nicely, and you always get that one person, that one cynical natured person in the group that says, really? We have to stick to this agenda? Oh, really, Deb? Don't be so rigid. If we want to go off a little bit and digress, we could do that. What do you do, Greg?
Well, I tell them, okay, present me an option so that's why I can think about it and we can put it towards the outcome.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wait, so.
If you let them get their option in there, they usually back down a certain bit.
Okay, I didn't hear your last sentence. Did you hear that, Jerry? Because I couldn't hear it.
No, do you want to repeat that, Greg? You were cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I think I'm in the rain. Yes, if you give them the chance to actually put an option into the meeting and actually maybe have a input into the outcome, it can actually cause them to feel like part of the meeting and not actually have to be buttoned in all the time.
Okay. So make them part of the group effort is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that falls right along with what Mark was saying as well. The previous caller, I don't know if you heard Mark, but he was saying the same thing. Like when he went into meetings and the brainstorming sessions that they would have when they can all contribute. Maybe I think Greg, you hit the nail, and so did Mark. I think the key is when people feel like it's a good use of time, if they can contribute something to the meeting, if they're not just going to sit there and be meetinged at, they want to contribute to it. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I think some of the best meetings I ever had was with my Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, exactly. Knights. Well, and Jerry's a 4th degree Knight. My husband's a 4th degree Knight. So thank you for being part of the Knights of Columbus. We love the Knights of Columbus.
Yes, I'm a 4th degree myself.
Amen.
Very, very cool.
Right.
Thanks, Greg, for your take on that. We appreciate it. 800-585-9396. And, that raises a good point, about meetings is we can actually kind of control how many that we have to attend. We choose to be Knights of Columbus. Mm-hmm. We choose to be on the parish council. We choose to do a lot of these things. At work, maybe, Debbie, not necessarily, we may not get a choice. But so, if
That's a good point.
If we don't like meetings all that much, then...
Yeah, don't join the groups.
Maybe don't be involved in certain things.
And can we just say real quickly, Greg is in Texas, and I know Texas is getting tons of storms. So, Greg, if you're listening, be careful, be safe. We'll be praying that you have safe travels. Okay, and for everybody else in the area, too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Carol is next, listening to EWTN Radio on Totus to Us Radio. She's in Gainesville, Georgia. Hi, Carol. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. I hope you won't mind if I enter a little something light-hearted that can add a chuckle.
That's what the show is all about, Carol. We're so glad you called.
Years ago, I used to work at a credit reporting agency, and I had a sign in my office that said, "We're going to keep on meeting until we figure out why we can't get any work done."
Okay, that is hilarious.
Did you figure it out? You could change thousands of lives right now with one phone call, Carol.
Well, I mean, it was just funny, and I've always, whenever I'm in a meeting that seems to be going nowhere, I always think of it.
Well, it reminds me of, it's a little bit different, but kind of same humor. What does it say? The saying, the beatings will continue until morale improves, or something like that. Remember seeing.
That's about the same idea, right? Okay, that's all I had to add to your discussion today.
Bless you, Carol. Thank you for making us all have that wonderful, joyous chuckle. We appreciate it. You're a doll. Thank you so much. Keep calling. Keep praying for all of us at Take Two and all of the listeners. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a quick question, though, Jerry. I wanted to ask you, maybe I shouldn't put you on the spot. Never mind. Okay. Can I?
No.
I'm just curious. Is there anybody, I'm asking everyone, have you ever made an excuse to leave a meeting early?
I'm sure I have. Yeah.
I know, but I'm trying to think back, and I think I know I've have, because there's been meetings at churches that have gone on for almost 4 hours, and there was like, I had to go.
Did they serve lunch or anything? Or
yeah, they did serve lunch.
Okay.
They did serve lunch. Yeah, but after a while, I mean, and after lunch, you start to get drowsy a little and start to fall asleep. That's the worst thing in the world. All right, how about that question? Have you ever fallen asleep at a meeting? Call in and share with us. Have you ever made an excuse to get out of a meeting or fall asleep at a meeting? We want to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396.
Or have you said, I have to leave the meeting to go to another meeting? That would be
You've done
dreadful.
that. You've done that.
Have I?
Yes, you've had back-to-back meetings. Yeah.
Boy, I'm just laid bare here, exposed on global radio. Let's get back to your calls. Margaret, thank you for calling in, listening to EWTN Radio online at EWTN.com, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie in Bethlehem, West Virginia. Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom and insights on this.
Oh, you're welcome. I was, listening, and I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, yay. Welcome.
First-time listener. I believe that you got to have an agenda. Mm-hmm. I have gone to meetings that did not have an agenda, and the meetings were not productive. You did not get as much accomplished. You did not know what was going on, and it's not a good thing. I have experience working in state government, like Mark did in Kentucky, ironically, years ago. But I also have been involved in the JCs. And in the JCs, it's the Leadership Training Organization. We learn very much so with running our meetings by Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
And you always have to have an agenda so that people know what's going on. But there's time at the end of the meeting where they do, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's called For the Good of the Chapter, and that's when, like, everybody can speak on, what they would like to put their 2 cents in. Right. But it's not, like, to be a big debate or something. But when people are getting carried away and not sticking to the topic, then the person in charge of the meeting needs to say, point of order, we're discussing, this particular subject at hand. If you want to discuss that one, if there's time at the end of the meeting, we can come back to that. Or we need to table this discussion because it's not getting anywhere, and let's move on to the next agenda. Those kind of things.
Right. Well, we totally agree with you. We Jerry and I feel the same way, that it has to have some agenda, some format, and then allow people to express, what they want to talk about at a meeting. But, you brought up something that's really interesting, Margaret, and I just wanted to kind of maybe, direct the conversation a little bit to this direction. Have you ever been to a meeting, Margaret, and you said you worked for government? Have you? Because I have. Have you ever been to a meeting where a verbal fight broke out? Where
definitely.
Yeah, and so here's a question for you. How are we to respond to that as Catholic Christians? Do we sit there? Do we start praying? Do we try to break up the fight? Do we get into the fight? I'm curious, what I would love to throw that question out there and just kind of explore it a little. So tell us your take on that fight that broke out.
Well, when I was a city manager, we had to, unfortunately, limit the time to speak for the public because there were different issues that they would get very heated on. And they were told that when they signed in at the meeting, they would have, I think it was 2 minutes to speak on their issue. And then the council could ask them, questions, which would, of course, make their time be longer. But, if there was a heated issue going on and you had 20 extra people at your meeting to talk about that, each person gets 2 minutes. That's,
Yeah.
that adds up to, 40 extra minutes onto your meeting. So that's why they tried to limit your 2 minutes. But when there are people with heated discussion, then, you would have to discuss amongst the council if they were, at the point of taking a vote, or if you had to go and do some follow-up research, or, whatever. So sometimes they would like how you handled it, and sometimes they wouldn't.
Interesting. That's a whole nother topic. We'll have to do another show. See, Margaret, you prompted a show topic. It was your first call. Aren't you glad you called in and started listening?
Oh yeah. I've been trying to listen to y'all more during Lent.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, God bless you, Margaret. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling in and sharing your wisdom. We sure do appreciate it. From West Virginia, call back again. Keep us posted on more takes. And this is exciting. We're going to I feel like we're going to transition this to falling asleep at meetings, Jerry. I just feel it. Go ahead.
Well, we may. It looks like Miguel may want to talk about that. But Denise got in right before Miguel. So hang on, Miguel. We'll get to you next. But Denise is in Denver listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN, Denver Catholic Radio. Hi, Denise. Welcome.
Hello. Did you say Denise or Michelle?
Yeah, Denise. Welcome.
You.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually Michelle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle.
That's okay. So I have a kind of a funny thing. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I'm a first-time caller as well.
Oh, hi.
Hi. And I have been a stay-at-home mom now for almost 14 years. And so I have not been a part of any kind of formal meetings for a very long time. And I actually kind of miss meetings. Before I was a stay-at-home mom and blessed to be a stay-at-home mom, I really enjoyed the whole atmosphere of having my coffee and collaborating on ideas and sitting around together. And maybe it's because my perspective is different now, being a stay-at-home mom, but there's a part of me that really kind of misses meetings and just what that looked like back before children. And so I kind of, like, even going back to work, I think about it's kind of fun sitting around together. And so I have a very different take on this. I miss it.
Well, Michelle, I can tell you, I totally relate to. I can relate to your situation because when I stepped out of my outside of the home job and I stayed home with my first child, I felt the exact same way, Michelle, the exact same way. And so what I did was, and it was hilarious, me and a couple of my girlfriends who all had small children at the time, we decided to join, these parent organizations at the preschool so that we could get onto the boards ahead of time, before our kids entered preschool. And then we started hitting the meetings because, at the Parent-Teacher Association meetings, there's meetings all the time. And we started going into the meetings. And it was only about 6 months into it, Michelle, it was hysterical. We all looked at each other and we go, now we know why we walked away from meetings. Now we know why we're so happy to be stay-at-home moms. We don't have to deal with this. So it was kind of interesting. I know exactly how you feel, and I would agree with you. And I would suggest maybe kind of going on to an organization that does have a meeting so you can get that, still have that taste of it. But it was interesting how quickly we realized how we appreciated being stay-at-home moms. So I don't know if that brings you any sense of comfort, but that was my experience. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have been a part of just some PTA meetings, and I agree with you. I think it does kind of remind you of just kind of sitting there for a long period of time and how your back starts to hurt and you're looking at the clock a little bit, but I just do have some fond memories of it, but I'm so thankful to God to be a stay-at-home mom and to have this time that I'll never get back with my kiddos. And so that's just my take on that.
Amen to that.
Indeed a great gift. And it's an interesting perspective. Michelle, thank you for sharing that because, we've kind of heard a lot of people, with a more, I guess, jaded view of meetings. But it's nice to hear somebody who took part in them and misses them. Yeah. So, Michelle, thanks for calling. Will you call us again sometime?
Oh, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Good to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396.
Okay, I told you. I think we're going to transition to what I said about who can call in about falling asleep at meetings. Miguel, is that you driving through Connecticut listening to EWTN radio? Is that you? Or are you going to not leave me hanging here? I'm the only one that fell asleep?
No, I've fallen asleep too. And I'm pro meeting when a meeting has a purpose and when you're getting something done. But every once in a while, there's one of those meetings where, like typically a human resource type meeting that you get called in because they're going to educate you about something. And then there's that one person, and I think everyone's had them, who for some reason asks some question that's going to take like half an hour to answer. And everyone's sitting there like, what the heck? And you lean and what I do is I lean my head forward and I put my hands above my brow, and I look like I'm writing. And I close my eyes because I know it's nothing I need to pay attention to.
Oh my goodness!
That's an art, actually. Being able to sleep sitting up and not look like you're sleeping. Many people have mastered that art when listening to homilies and stuff too. So.
That is hilarious. I got to try that. So you put your hands up above your brow and just look like you're writing something. But what happens if the pen like falls out of your hand or something? I don't know, Miguel. I got to practice that. I'll try it. Huh?
It's a light sleep.
It's a light sleep. Oh my goodness. God bless you. That is awesome. See, that made us chuckle today too. See, that makes me look forward to meetings now. I have new strategies.
Thanks, Miguel. You've given Debbie some ideas. Appreciate your call. Be safe driving through Connecticut there. And we hope that you'll remain a listener and call this program anytime it's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. No more meetings. That's what we're talking about today. Or, do we need them? Are they indispensable? I think, they are. Debbie and I do. But, how much is too much? Or, how effective or efficient can they be or should they be? We're going to find out what Roy thinks listening in Mottsville, North Carolina, listening to EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130. Welcome to the show, Roy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Doing great. Better now that you called. So what is your take on this?
Well, let me tell you what I did. I was a manager at a paper mill, and on each end of the line, the operators sit in chairs and watch computers, and their jobs are to start or stop the machine at certain periods. And we went from running 3 shifts to running 4 shifts, 12 hours of swing shifting. About a month into it, we had 8 separate incidents of my guys falling asleep, my operators falling asleep on both ends, and either missing a shutdown and overrunning, or being asleep and having a delay on startup, and it was costing us money. And the mill manager called me and fussed at me, so I called all my guys into my big office I just got, and big comfortable chairs, and we're sitting around the conference table, and I get up and give them my big spiel about I'm not going to tolerate this. Whatever you guys got to do to stay awake, you do it. I know this is a transition, but you're going to have to get used to it now, or I'm going to have to start disciplining people. It's going to be serious. Okay. Then one of my supervisors gets up and starts talking. This is the only guy I've ever known in my life that likes to talk more than me. And he is extremely boring, and he speaks in a monotone. He's rattling on and on and on, and I'm listening to him, and I'm getting distracted. And a few minutes later, I wake up in the meeting. I fell asleep in a meeting about people falling asleep on the job.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
And when I woke up, everyone's looking at me. Apparently, I'd cut a couple of snores while I was asleep. I wake up, and I look around, and everyone's looking at me, and I said, okay, I have the problem. We're all intensely boring people. We have no reason to go on. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to either change the shifts or what you want to do. And I said, well, no, we don't want to do this because everyone's happy. So I got these big, huge industrial-sized coffee machines put in each station. And I had one put in my office for myself so I could stay awake on the job.
Okay, that is hilarious. You probably never...
Oh, my goodness. It was so embarrassing.
No, you probably never.
Looking at me, and I said, all right, I guess if I'm going to start discipline, I'm going to start with myself. I'm going to have to take a couple of days off, I guess.
That is hilarious. That's exactly what I was just going to say is they probably all said, okay, here we go. You're not going to be able to live that one down, Roy. That's classic. That was a great, great story and a great way to close out this show because that really gave us all a great laugh. And I could visualize it. I could visualize all of these people in a room, and then here's the one manager who's, professing something that needs to be done and then ends up, unfortunately falling asleep. So, Roy, way to go.
Humbling moments. Any other
Humbling.
details you want to toss in, Roy, before we wrap up the show? What's that?
I said one of my operators is a good artist. He drew a picture of me laying back in a chair with my mouth wide open and a bubble with Z's in it.
That is hilarious. Way to go, Roy.
Thanks, Roy, for making the show better with your phone call and all of our...
Y'all have a good day.
All right,
Thank
you too. Great takes today. Thank you so much for listening and being with us. We love spending this time with you. Wish it were longer. Debbie, again, tomorrow, we mentioned you're going to be flying the ship by yourself or flying the plane by yourself, but it's a really cool topic tomorrow. I will be, I'll be in a plane traveling tomorrow, but I know you're looking forward to this. You actually proposed the topic, so what are you going to be sharing tomorrow?
Coming home to the Catholic Church. Coming home, what it means to really come home to the Catholic Church, talking about stories, conversion stories, reversion stories, really that process of when a person really feels like they walk into the doors, they walk through the doors of a church and they go, I'm home. I am home. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful show, and we're going to miss you, Jerry. But safe traveling. You gotta go around the country raising money for Catholic radio so you can keep us on the air.
Well, yeah, it's one of the things that you and I both do, and that's a good reminder to make a plug for all of you listening. Please support EWTN, support your local Catholic station or network. Without them, we have no show, and without them, boy, I think what a huge hole in all of our lives it would be if we no longer had our Catholic radio stations on the air. And you reminded me, Debbie, too, that I want to encourage people to get to confession. Mm-hmm. If you are someone who is away from the church, or you have been, or you know somebody, tune in tomorrow. I know it's going to be a great show. Debbie has a lot to share, and your takes are going to be so important. But I went to a penance service at my parish last night. We have a pretty large parish. 17 priests heard confessions literally for hours of hundreds and hundreds of people. Probably, I would guess, 800 people went to confession. And the pastor shared. He said his record, Debbie, for someone coming to confession after being away, he said 75 years. Somebody said, bless me, Father, it's been 75 years since my last confession. So, folks, grab the mercy. Go to confession. If you're away from the church, come home.
Yes, praise God for that. And dear listeners, keep liking EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook. We're up to 5,100 likes. That's awesome. Keep sharing and check back to see which short take we picked today from today's show. We love all of you. God bless you. Have a beautiful, beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.